JuanCast 6.5, The Search for More Money. Oh wait, no, I already used that title, that rip-off title from Spaceballs for, I think, JuanCast 5. Way of the Charmed Snake. Way of the Charmed Snake. I'm doing this extra podcast. Nobody except for Bill Maher apparently uses their iPod. Yeah. So here we are. Here I am, middle of the night. I should go to sleep, but I'm in the mood for some spooky business. I read Omnia Doodle, and it's cool. I like reading, getting around to reading my work online finally. I always thought about doing it. I always thought about putting audiobooks together, and I'm finally doing it. I'm like kind of bit by bit, scrapping it up. Did I tell you the time already? 1:48 a.m. Oh God, I just want to do other stuff. I want to like listen to spooky shit and go to bed, but not yet. I was listening a few days ago. I was doing some yard work before the snow came on Sunday, and I was listening to the Paranormal Scholar, and I have a deep vein of the paranormal and the occult in my life and in my work. It's just one of those things. I've always had a passion for it. I'm thinking it may be a past life related thing. I do think that there's a connection with that and my Catholicism that runs in my family. We come from part of Spain. Well, Spain's mostly Catholic anyway, that Mediterranean area, right? But in Europe at least. But there's a close vein, two separate veins. I don't know if that's the proper mining analogy. Along with Catholicism and occultism. What's known as occultism now. I mean, just the term occult, I don't know if any of you guys out there would agree to this or not, but I mean, the old adage, of course, that the occult just means hidden. And it just it's just hidden things that it's esoteric, but once you start learning about them, given your own proclivities and your own interests, it becomes less, well, it's strange. Now that I think about it, it becomes more familiar, yet there's more to learn. The mystery, the phenomena of the mysterious becomes more and more invasive. No, that's not the word. Permeating, maybe that's a better word for it. You sort of invite it in. And I don't know, Omnia Doodle was kind of like that. Not that I want to just, have like a behind the scenes peek at what, went into Omnia Doodle, but there is a sense, at least I have, that, in the story, they're called interior quests, and I feel like that too a little bit, that when you go meditating, when you spend a lot of your time, as I did like in my 20s, basically, kind of being inward, because in my teens, I didn't feel like my nervous system was adequate for who I was. There was definitely a kind of a disconnect there. Let me save this really quick. Just saved it. Yeah, I was saying how when I was going to school, when I was in high school, I mean, I'm sure this is the norm, but for me, it really became kind of a haranguing notion. Why on earth I felt like, what's the word for it? How can I describe this? there was a kind of a disconnect between, I don't know, my inner life and the outside life. I don't know. That's it. It was more like I guess there was an expectation that I had about the world and its consequences to certain things I would do, and there was a kind of, let's just say, it didn't meet expectations, or maybe that's not the right way to put it. There was a let's just say, I guess, how I felt on the inside wasn't agreeable to what I perceived happening on the outside. And I think, lo and behold, that was sort of like the main nudge or wink, or elbow to the ribs indicator of something saying like, hey, look into the occult, as I've learned many years later. See, the reason... Okay. If you have the opportunity to follow your interests, I mean, honestly follow them. Well, there'll be a lot of pain. There'll be a lot of... There will be pain. I mean, the moments are really insightful, but there's mostly pain. That's the price you pay for following your own interests. Like how, whatever you're really passionate about, there's a, for me, it was like, drips and drabs of pure glory on a personal level, like finally kind of understanding things and overcoming aspects of yourself, squares of yourself that you didn't know you didn't know that were there, or the ones that you realized were there. I could recognize and listen and hopefully traverse. But the downside to also following your own interest, at least in my case, was that it takes you off of wavelength that you didn't know you had when you go through school, when you grow up, when you go to college. Because let me tell you, when you go in there, you're growing up in the quote-unquote West, like I did, and I grew up in the 90s to 2000s, you are indoctrinated. I think, what was it, 80%, 90%? You don't know you are, though. And you become deprogrammed. You have to deprogram yourself if you're honest about it, and it takes years, if it happens at all. Long time. And when you're in it, you don't know you're living it, because you're totally absorbed by the culture. And when you're in that world, they expect you to regurgitate the culture back at them, while passing off ideas that may sound original, but it's just regurgitations. They're not. It's just, you become. What's the term? Is it aboriginal? It suggested that aboriginal is the term one uses to describe the original of the original. But that's sort of a mock-up anyway. But yeah, they teachers and so forth, they want you to communicate to them that you understood a measure of what they're teaching, obviously, but is what they're teaching like the eternal question, based on reality? And in hindsight, for me, looking back on that time of my life, it shapes you so much that you don't have the remotest clue of how much it does. Like, even looking back on it, like the stuff I laughed at, the fun I had, friends I was with, the people I wanted to be friends with, the people I wanted to, get their attention somehow, the yearning, the personality types that one would have to be in order to think to succeed in this environment. Just by listing all that, just gives you gives you a sense of the compartmentalized layers of personalities they had to go through. And it's no fucking wonder that people, hurt themselves and hurt others when they're going through that system. I didn't want to shit on this, but I mean, I'm still telling you how I went through it, and add that to, if you ever listen to this, add that to your own personal repertoire. As Clan Keely would once say, like I squeezed the toothpaste out of the tube. The one thing you can't do is put it back in the tube the same way it came out. Right? It's already out. Well, that's what he used to say. The one time. Right. So it's learning how to be original to yourself, and trying to realizing that the programming is there, and then realizing, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? I've had many moments like that, and many moments like that. And as a passing observation, I feel like nowadays, I listen to myself. When you listen to yourself, it's the hardest thing in the world. One of the hardest things in the world. Depends on who you are. You listen to yourself, and you don't know where the path may lead. For me, it was really funny because I would play video games with my friends at the time, and I would think, like, why do I suck so badly at these multiplayer games? And I remember there was this 1 week, it was just 1 week, where something clicked somewhere subconsciously, and I was really good for like that 1 week. And then after that, it kind of went to shit again. But that stayed with me. Like, how did that happen for that one window of time that I was in the zone, in a way? How did that happen? And the answer I was privileged enough to receive later on in life, much later on, was that it was in terms of intuition. I had listened to my intuition then. The thing is, because of all these other previous layer societal pressures that I kind of outlined earlier, that your intuition gets buried beneath all that stuff. Buried. Like, almost to the point of it being rubbed out of you. And you need to go, I think for me, I feel like I needed to go AWOL for a while. You didn't know yourself. Or it just was so... The sort of the top line construction of one's personality is there. And you're pushed out into the world. And you're still driving blind. You have no idea. You can get lucky. But then I think there are some people, women especially, who go through that system and then become cutouts of themselves. Right? Something else is built on top of them. And they push and they push and they push their true selves way down deep. For a variety of reasons, obviously. Right? And they don't let the outside in. or they don't live inside out, rather, I should say. And then when sudden calls to their nature to erupt aren't heeded, real bad things can happen. I don't know, maybe it's because I went to the arts. I wanted to make movies. That I was honest enough with myself, and I began that journey, which I guess more or less I'm still on. I guess maybe I'm at a turning point where there's a clear delineation between the past and now, a so-called gestation period. Okay. I think I'm going to stop. A lot of words. I'll try to have these uploaded soonish. Don't know if I can do both of them in the same day, but if I can, I will. Kind of wanted to play some Silent Hill 2 later, but I'm already kind of sleepy. I don't know, one lives their life, right? I knew what was happening somewhere. And it took a lot of time for me to get it right and articulate this. And I'm still on the journey. I think we all are, right? There's people who just checked out. They're just on this ride, and they're doing their thing. I questioned enough, and I got to where I am. It's still not enough, though.